I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking to an amazing author. Her name is Cynthia Brown, and she has written a powerful book. It is called Finding Myself. It dives deep into the mind of a character grappling with schizophrenia. The author balances her work between healthcare work, preaching the gospel,
Yes.
and her passion for writing. And we're glad she's picked up the pen because she's quite a writer. Finding Myself is not just a book, it's a journey through the complexities of mental health and a testament to the resilience of the human
Mhm.
spirit. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her delightful book. The links are below this interview. Cynthia, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Nice to see you too.
Give us an overview of what your book is about.
My book is about a young woman that was battling with a disease that the psychiatrists call schizophrenia.
Mhm.
And basically, it started when she was young. And when her father left her mother began to blame her. And she would tell her that she's no good. She's like her father. She's ugly. And so she grew up with all of this in her mind and she couldn't seem to get away from it. And the book takes you on a ride through her mind and through the ups and downs of a life of a schizophrenia. And it tells about the things that she went through and how she finally overcame her battle with
Yeah.
schizophrenia.
Now, what inspired you to write about schizophrenia?
Okay, what inspired me was I had a relative that had the disease, and I seen him go from a man that worked every day, wore nice clothes, had a social life, always had a pocket full of money, and it seems like instantly he turned to a person that didn't care about his hygiene anymore, didn't care about working anymore, didn't care about his social life anymore, and he began to alienate himself from his family, and he began to hallucinate and live in his own world. And I know one time he told me that he was Jesus, and when I tried to tell him that he wasn't, he would start to cry because he really believed this.
Yeah.
He believed that he really was Jesus, so that's what inspired me to write about it, because a lot of people think that when people are like that, they're just like drug addicts. They
Right.
always blame it on drugs, in which we know if they do take drugs, it could make the situation worse.
Right. Right. I
But
think a lot of people try
schizophrenia
to
is real.
self-medicate with drugs and alcohol because they're
Mm-hmm.
suffering. They want to drive the demons away. And like you said,
Away.
they actually make it worse. And it is such a profound change you see in people with
Mm-hmm.
schizophrenia. They're apparently normal, healthy,
Mm-hmm.
well-dressed, working, and all of a sudden it seems
Yeah.
like
It's
on a
somewhere
dime they
else.
turn and they're not taking care of their appearance anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're hearing things, they're seeing things, they're deluded, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a terrible situation. But there is hope. How did your
Yeah.
relative do in confronting and battling his schizophrenia?
Well, when he began the battle, I think it was in 2015. Now in 2024, he's beginning to take pride in his hygiene again,
Hmm.
begin to take pride in dressing. But occasionally, I know that he still hears the voices because I'll see him laughing sometimes to
Hmm.
himself. But he's doing a lot better now than he
Right.
did then, and that was because I got him help, and they put him on medication. So we know that medication can help.
Yeah.
Although they say there's no real cure for schizophrenia, they do have medications that can help. And I also think that if you pray and you believe in God, that's going to help too.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the title, Finding Myself, because that's what your protagonist is trying to do. Tell us how you came up with that and why you named it that.
I called it Finding Myself because the certain young lady, she didn't really know who she was. All she knew is what her mother had told her she was and what the voices would tell her she was. And she would say she would get up and she would look in the mirror and she didn't even know who was looking back at her. She didn't
Hmm.
even understand herself. She didn't understand what a genuine person she was inside.
Hmm.
So that's why I named it that, because a lot of people with schizophrenia, they do have to find themselves all over again.
Yeah.
They have to, because they live so long in like a fantasy world. because
Right.
they go by what the voices tell them.
Yeah.
They hear things that we don't hear. They see things that we don't see.
Right.
Mm.
Exactly.
And this particular character, she had a lot of hatred in her heart towards her mother because of how her mother treated her when the father left.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a common thing that happens too, the mother disparaging the father because there's a breakup in the relationship. All important stuff. Is this your first time writing a book?
No, I actually have another book that I wrote in 2011. It was called From Dusk to Dawn: Portrait of a Drug Addict.
Hmm. So you write on some pretty powerful, gritty topics, right?
Yeah, I like to write about real life stuff that's really going on with
Right.
people and in their lives. And sometimes when I see a situation like when I wrote From Dusk to Dawn: Portrait of a Drug Addict, I seen a lot of drug abuse that was in
Yeah.
my family, and so that what made me write that book,
Yeah.
to let people know, because a lot of people, oh, they can get off drugs if they want to, but once a person is hooked, they're hooked, and they
Yeah.
need a lot of family support and they need help, you know, to get away from these things,
Sure. And often
especially if
there's
it's a hard drug.
oh yeah, and there's underlying issues also. I mean, the person's taking drugs probably to self-medicate, they're depressed,
Yes,
or they have some other issue, like we said, maybe even
yes.
schizophrenia, and they're trying to
Mhm.
medicate with illicit drugs, and it certainly
Mhm.
just makes the matter worse.
Worse.
Have you envisioned finding myself as a movie or a series, perhaps?
Yeah, I envision myself as finding it as a movie and a
Yeah,
series, because
yeah,
I do want to write a part two, because she did get hospitalized, she did get some help, but when she left the hospital, she was still on medication, which a lot of them take medication for the rest of their life, and some of them overcome,
yeah.
but she was on medication and she decided to move out of the United States. So, and when she moved out of the United States, she met and married a pastor,
Hmm.
and she went back into her nursing career. So I wanted to continue it from when she went to New Mexico.
Okay. Sounds
Mhm.
great. Sounds great. And there seems to be some parallels, of course, to your life as well. You're very, religious, you're a faith-filled person, you work in healthcare as well. So you're writing about things you know, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How important is faith in your writing and how important is faith in your life?
Faith is very important to me because I really believe in God, and I believe that God can do anything but let us down.
Hmm.
But so I believe that prayer can change things. It might
Mhm.
sometimes it might not be overnight that it changes it, but it does change it, because what the songwriter said, God might not come when you want him, but he's
Yeah.
always right on time. So I know that God, this particular individual that I was dealing with, I know that God came in and blessed him, because if you had seen the situation he was in when it first happened, you'd be like, oh my God. So, but now he's more sober minded. um, Before he wouldn't even take his medication. Now he takes his medication. He'll even ask for his medication, and he'll go and he'll make sure he has on clean clothes and comb his hair and stuff like that. While
Yeah.
when he first got sick, he did none of this.
Yeah.
So it I look at it as spiritual as well as natural.
Absolutely. And getting people to be compliant with their medication is a huge part of treating
Yes,
schizophrenia
yes, it is.
because often they're paranoid. And part of the paranoia is they feel it's the medicine that's making them have the visions and hear the
Yes, they
voices. Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they get it kind of backwards, and it's a
Mhm.
tragedy because, you're giving them medicine to make them feel better, and they're giving you resistance to taking the medicine because they
Yeah,
feel it's making them sick. So
they can
it's a
say.
tough situation. And but you did a great job in shining light on this and shining light on the problems of drug addiction as well. Cynthia has written two powerful books. The book we've been focusing primarily on today is called Finding Oneself. It dives deep into the mind of a character grappling with schizophrenia, and
Yeah,
it is a powerful book. It's a journey through the complexities of mental health, and it is a testament to the human spirit. And the
yeah.
other book you wrote is called
From Dusk to Dawn: Portrait of a Drug Addict.
From Dusk to Dawn,
Mhm.
Dusk to Dawn, A
From
Portrait of a
Dusk.
Drug Addict. That
Mhm.
sounds like a powerful book as well. I will look for that. The links to her work are below this interview. Be sure you check them out. And I think you'll enjoy the journey that she takes you on.
Mhm.
Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure is all mine. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time on Spotlight.